Okay. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Michael. I turned on my computer, opened up just to figure out that it actually restarted itself overnight. You
Yeah.
know how Windows takes a couple of minutes until I can actually join. So, hello,
Yeah.
how are you?
I'm all right.
I do not know if my video is going to work today, but I trust you remember my face. It's going to actually be in Vienna in person.
I will be there in person.
Fantastic. So we'll
Yeah.
see you there. Maybe grab a pint.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to start sharing my screen. I went through the document again, like I do before the meeting, and I suggested a number of changes. I kept changed tracking on, except for the most trivial stuff. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Uh, how have you been?
Yeah. So I had a went into the hospital in February for one thing, and they found something else, and
Oh,
yeah. Anyway, so I had a mysterious pulmonary embolism, and so there was the question of whether or not I was going to get to travel or not, because you don't get to get on airplanes afterwards until
hmm
they clear you. Anyway, so I got cleared on Thursday, so that's good.
um,
So
well,
Thursday they said
congratulations.
I could travel again. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Congratulations. You live in Europe though, don't you?
I live in Canada.
Oh, you are. We're in Canada.
I'm in Ottawa.
Ottawa. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
We also
I'm
had a Etsy hosted their quantum safe conference here Tuesday,
mm,
Thursday, Friday. I gotta switch browsers just a second.
okay.
On Yeah, I was just confused. I'm like, but I opened Zoom. Why am I looking at Google Docs?
Mm,
And now I see why, because you have it open. I'm like, because
yes.
I had Google
Um,
Docs on the next tab, and I was like, wait, no, that's not Zoom, that's Google Docs. I'm like, okay, yeah. So
right.
they had this quantum safe conference in Ottawa, which I wouldn't have
hmm
traveled to, and I wouldn't have paid a hotel. And but anyway, it's just one LRT ticket away at the university, and I think it was quite well attended. But I am actually kind of astonished at the number of entities that they think that they're going to just make up their own hybrid, non-hybrid, um, you know, rules and situations. You know, I'm
What
like,
do you mean?
like there seemed to be an association of central banks that are like, oh no, we're going to do it this way. I'm like, that's not how the IETF or the web browser or any of this stuff is going to work. Oh yeah, we can't seem to get the web browser people to do what we want. I'm like, yeah, because they're, like, did, do you own a web browser? No. Okay, so like they're not going to just do what you say. They're going to do what an RFC says. So there seem to be people who don't seem to who think that they're just going to make their own standards, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to work that way. You're not going to
Well,
have the
if I may insert a shameless plug, this is
yeah.
what rats did when they defined the rats relying party.
Well, I mean, yes and no, but also that I mean, you're right. I mean, we tried to innovate and but it wasn't entirely without precedent. I mean, but anyway, we didn't tell. What I'm trying to say is that um, it's not like the banks are inventing their own algorithm, their own quantum safe algorithms, but the ways in which they want to use them, you know, I would say relying party is like a little bit like having your own algorithm. Like,
Yeah, it is. Hi,
anyway.
Alice. And you have a new attendee here. Uh, Forgive me if I don't recognize you from before. Maybe I just forgot. Uh, would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, Alice is on mute. Okay. All right. So, first order of business, I want to just let you know I am technical vacation starting this Thursday afternoon, and
Okay.
I may be able to join next Tuesday, uh, but it's uncertain. I will I
Okay.
will I will let
Uh,
I will email the mailing list with an agenda if I plan to be there. Otherwise, after today, you may need to take it over the line, and then you and I
okay.
can still work,
Yeah. So
over
Hank
email,
has
whatnot.
tasked me with getting this into an internet draft, um,
Mhm.
for next week.
I
Which
emailed the chairs to get us a slot. I have not heard back. Could you maybe
okay.
channel with them? You know them better.
I will ask again. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually put that on meeting minutes, so that we don't remember, don't forget. So, email the draft chairs to get on a draft a slot. I think 10 minutes ought to be enough.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
so. I think that the important part is put up the diagram, and that's about it.
right. Okay. So let's then go through the text right now. Um, I added this again. Feel free to tell me to delete it because it's extra words, but this is for the abstract section. I just add parser process. Like basically the relying parties today, they understand JOTs, but they don't understand EAT, right?
Yep.
So, okay. This change is from before. We no longer say the specification extends the RAS architecture to interoperate with RAS and other relying parties. Instead, we say this other statement. So again, look over it and let me know if you agree, disagree.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. All right. So scrolling down, we're not going to go over stuff that's not changing in any way. Uh, Now here we say identifier. In the comment I made, should we say identity document? Because we say identity document up here.
Sure. That's fine. Yep.
Okay. Moving down. Um, boy,
Yeah.
what
Shared
my
key.
sorry, my screen just showed a bunch of ghost artifacts. Um, I added that. So identity documents such as shared keys or credentials using. Okay, so we should accept that, right?
Yeah.
Or are
So
shared keys identity documents?
well, I don't know. I was going to say maybe you want to say symmetric keys. Um, but I don't know. Maybe you want to
Shared
say
symmetric.
bearer shared symmetric keys, including bearer tokens. I don't know. So or
Well,
credentials.
there are keys and there are credentials, right? So a key is a uh, cryptographic construct, a credential, and because key carries no additional information other than it's a key. A credential will usually carry an identity and maybe some claims.
Yeah. I'm just not sure where a bearer token fits into that list. That's all.
Their tokens would be here. It's a credential.
Okay. JWTs. All right. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. That's good. All right.
Okay. And then ROP requires, and that's just, it was a stylistic suggestion. Should we say that the relying on the relying party expects something? I mean, because again, they're unaware. We could go either way. I could just delete it.
I'm just thinking here. This in this world, I'm not crazy about the word world, but the attester to obtain from the rats relying party. I would say key that um, I would say is compatible with the RUP. That's what I would say. Does that make sense? I can't
Um,
spell compatible.
and you may want to take is compatible instead of the if.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving forward. Um, so again,
Yeah, it
I
works.
just
Yeah, that works.
all right.
Okay.
All right. So convention terminology boilerplate. The
Yeah.
question here was, is there anything here that is not boilerplate? I'm
We'll want to bring some of these words, like credential authority mode and broker mode. We'll want to bring
let's
them up, but
note.
but but
Yeah.
but but
So
but don't worry about that for now.
well,
Like,
let's or at least as a draft for you to like remember what we talked about. So broker, something that I'm just giving, I'm vomiting content. It's not final content. That
what I'm
is
saying is that
pre.
it's just. I'm saying it's better to cycle back at the end. I will bring up terms that make sense. What I'm
Yeah, yeah.
right.
I just this is the one that the way we use broker here is something that deals out pre-existing keys or credentials
Yeah.
versus credential authority, which means new credentials. Okay. And then as we find other things, terminology wrap, maybe we already defined it, but whatever. Okay. Credential bootstrapping. So there again, this is a question because especially when we're gonna go down there and I say, well, when you say, when you contact a broker and you say, give me a key or credential,
Yeah.
and here's my evidence. I think it's also important in the protocol to specify that, and here's the key ID or credential ID that I'm after. So, and this is something that's part of the bootstrapping. So if I am what we call in rats a workload owner, so that's another. Let's just keep putting workload owner tasked with key credential bootstrapping um, before workload is launched. Right. So that's what we're talking about. The workload owner may need to hand to the workload. Here's the key ID you're after. Here's the credential ID you're after. And then now go do your dance, provide evidence, and also specify this. This is part of the protocol. That's why I'm saying we need key credential ID.
Yeah. Yeah. We may need to also. We may need to also think about um the kinds of credentials and whether it's ever possible for a particular attester to deal with more than one kind of credential.
I mean, if you're going to specify one evidence, but request multiple keys or credentials, we could add that as future work as well. Like we don't
Yeah, so my
necessarily.
only my only thinking about is scenario. I think that starts off with bearer tokens because that's all the two unmodified parties can do. Um, but some attesters, upgrade over time, and um, so the relying party here has to know what they're up to, right? But
You can. I think my instinct is against overcomplicating things.
yeah,
Now,
okay,
it is possible that a workload starts and is basically given. You'll need more than one credential. But
right.
then you effectively in the protocol you need to say, here are your credential authorities. That may be another part of workload configuration, even knowing which you
Well,
know,
let me propose. Let me suggest where I'm kind of thinking, and I'm a little bit. This is sort of a little bit my more direct interest. So imagine that what's actually happening is that um uh, the attester is moved or being moved to doing mutual TLS,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and the credential that it's going to use is in a TPM or a secure element.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, this is accomplished in an OpenSSL space by loading a specific provider,
Okay.
OpenSSL provider. That can be done by an environment variable or something else that's outside the application. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the application never actually changes, but now suddenly it's using the doing mutual TLS with a key and credential from the TPM, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So now you can imagine that what's being provisioned is not the application, but the TPM.
Mm-hmm.
So this is new code to provision the TPM, but it's an old application, written in COBOL,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and and so we've upgraded it without actually, as you say, without actually changing it. Um, and the application is none the wiser, right?
Yeah.
And the rat's unrelying party, the
Unaware.
RUP unaware party, it's just like, well, things connect to me, and there's some TLS doodad that in front of me that makes sure they're legit, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's again, that's like, okay, well, uh, it was added, right? So,
Right.
yeah,
Mm. Okay. So what I have to say about that is, again, from where I'm sitting right now, it was really hard for me to think about the entire story of really long running workloads that may change its credentials, may reattest
that's a
and
different problem. Well,
everything else.
long running workloads, yes, okay,
Right. So if you are going to, if a work like, we can let's just say, okay, there are credentials that the workload obtains effectively in the beginning of
right,
its journey, or
yep,
maybe later as necessary. But we could maybe put a limitation on this in for the first draft anyway, that the credentials, certain credential IDs or whatever the workload needs to obtain its credentials are preordained by the time workload starts. And then we can talk later about maybe the control plane informs you and says, here's some updated information for you. But I think it's in a lot of cases, it's much easier to just stop and restart,
yeah, and
you know?
and there's definitely advantages to that in terms of running the latest software, resilience against hard. If you've designed your system that just restarts when it restarts and picks up, then there's lots of advantages in terms of that. But I agree with you. I would just say, look, these are workloads that run for somewhere between seconds and hundreds of hours,
Yeah,
but not hundreds of days.
right,
Okay. And I think that's reasonable. So you may say, "Oh, I can't restart it now, but I can restart it on Monday." Yeah, that's good, right?
right,
And the second side is hundreds of days. Well, you're going to get into I need to do some, you know, continuous assurance, not just boot time insurance. And we get into all sorts of other things, and then the fact that it's an unaware party becomes a problem, right? So better actually to restart it regularly so that it gets reassessed and runs
right.
latest software and all that stuff, then um try to make the unaware party aware, right?
Right. Okay. So again, you can make a note and say, maybe something out of scope or for future work, things like that. And again, I will still like, though I'm on vacation, I will do my best to work with you and like do reviews on whatever text you generate. So we will be able to communicate still. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You have a problem with the letter L
Yeah,
on
I do.
keyboard?
I actually do. That is actually a real problem. Oh, it's both words, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I do. I've actually complained to the manufacturer of the keyboard, and as soon as they send me diagnostics, it goes away.
Okay. All right. So, okay, so credential bootstrapping, we should probably have a conversation about workload owner. So that's a to-do. We'll leave it now. You know what I meant when I inserted it.
It's just assumed that it's already, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move forward. Um, I'm gonna accept your change there. Short-lived, newly minted, short-lived bearer token. So credential authority mode, newly minted proof of possession credential. Does proof of possession credential need to be defined? Should we move it into the? It could be so it's a WIT or an XONA
That may not
certificate.
be a well-known statement, proof of possession credential. Hank, is that a well-known statement at this point? I don't know.
Sorry, I repeat phrase.
Is the word proof of possession credential something that everyone would know what that means? Does that?
No,
I mean, I think it
never.
refers.
It's a proof of possession. Then you can show that you own a certain private key, typically by signing a public key.
Right, but
So
having
you can
if
put
you've
that
done
into a
that,
credential. Huh?
if you've done that, would you call that a proof of possession credential?
So, question. A certificate always has a private key pair and a private part and a public part.
Yeah.
So if I own the credential, it's standard X509, whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's not a proof of possession credential for you, right?
No, anyway, that's the
Uh,
credential.
the way the TWI SIG defined it is the credential is the public
Yeah.
portion. Maybe it's incorrect, but the way we defined it is there is a public portion, and that's the XONA certificate itself, and the private portion is the key. So the public portion is effectively something you can give out at will. It's completely, not a secret. In fact, not intended to be a secret. But you cannot use it unless you have the corresponding private key. And this is also true of WITs.
So if a private key would sign its own public key and then send out that signed public key,
A
you
self-signed,
can
sure.
look you can look
It's
at that public key and validate a
yes,
message with it, and thereby know, okay, that guy must have the private key to this public key. That's a
Yes.
proof of possession.
Yeah.
yes.
That's a
But you
proof of
see, my
possession. It is a directly linked one. If you do it implicit by some signer of the certificate, you trust that someone endorses the ownership via the CSR dance and so on, and that is implicit. A direct one, then you sign your own public key.
yeah, it doesn't matter because right. So the credential is the public part by that definition, which I think is very convenient here, but it may confuse people outside. Credential is the public part,
Yeah.
and the corresponding key is the private part. But like, of course, bearer tokens are, sort of throw a monkey wrench in there because the credential is the bearer token and it's not public. So we
So
may
I don't
need
know what
to
this.
differentiate public and private credential too.
I thought there were three things here, but so I understand what wants to be a newly minted, short-lived bearer token,
Yeah.
but why? But isn't that does that have? I didn't think that was an asymmetric component. Is it?
Which one?
Well, I didn't understand why a bearer token is matches an asymmetric token. It's not a
No,
bearer
it
token
doesn't.
if it's
I
signed.
didn't say that at all. I'm just saying
Okay.
the bear, like before we introduced bearer tokens into all of this, that was a very clean distinction, right? Credential is
Hmm.
public and the key is private.
Yeah.
But bearer token, of course, is more like a key than a credential in the sense of
Yeah.
privacy.
So how does it? How is the bearer token matching an attester held a symmetric token encryption key? I think that
It
it's
doesn't.
encrypted
It
too.
doesn't. It
It's
doesn't,
encrypted
right?
to it,
It
isn't it?
doesn't, and it's not intended to.
Okay,
The
so then there's
idea,
some sentence or some grammar
no,
mis.
no, no.
Okay,
Okay, so uh, in the credential broker mode, the proof of possession credential and the corresponding credential. So because the key broker, I understand. So you're talking about this, right?
no,
You're talking about this.
yeah, I'm talking
Three.
about
Okay,
this
so here
this
you
part
you
specifically.
a
Yeah,
freshly minted. Okay, so let's replace freshly minted proof of possession credential matching an attested system or a newly minted short-lived bearer token matching an attested. asymmetric token. It's not matching. It's encrypted too.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. That's not matching it because it's not.
I just changed it.
Yeah.
Encrypted too.
Yes.
And we're not doing long-lived bearer tokens at all. Like they're just not mentioned here.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
they're
yeah. I know what you're doing here, and yeah. Not everyone will agree, but they'll have to they'll have to catch the fact that it says short-lived.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just otherwise why if you're going to have a long-lived bearer token, like why bother with remote attestation? Like that's just I don't know. Like
Yeah, no,
I'm
I
trying
get your
to
point. I get your point. I agree with you. Not everyone agrees with you, but I think they are living in a world of self-inflicted hurt,
right.
right? I think from what I understand, and we had a conversation a year ago at Whimsy. I said, well, how are all these, bearer tokens? Why is it you're so upset? Why can't you just deploy, key pairs, instead of bearer tokens? And this was part of the like, oh, I need all this other assurance because, the bearer tokens are so easily escape, right? Like, well, why
Right.
aren't you doing this more sensibly, right? and and they're like, oh, we don't know how to fit that into Puppet. I'm like, it works just fine, you just don't know how to do it, right?
hmm
and
hmm
and that's what it amounts to. They can't think to change, and that's all, right?
Right.
There's nothing that prevents them from changing except themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so we fixed this encrypted to business. That's done. Okay. So let's see. We cleaned that up. We already talked about this diagram. There is nothing changing here. Now let's go through this. A tester needs to know which particular credential. This is what, okay, before Hank joined, Michael, this is what you and I discussed. The tester needs to know which particular credential or key it is asking for, right? The control plane should hand the workload key credential ID and to the workload. Just change that and or pass to the workload. Right, so basically you stand up. Now we may also
Yes.
the other thing we should also ask here is maybe there are multiple verifiers or
Let's
multiple
not go there right
rats.
now.
Okay, let's
There might be there might be a different verifier for different attesters. Like,
well,
a
yeah,
Dell
okay.
a Dell equipment goes to a Dell
Oh,
verifier,
could
and
it be
a
multiple rats
Supermicro
relying
goes to
parties?
Supermicro.
So
But
I provide my evidence, but I go take that evidence to multiple rats relying parties because one mints bearer tokens, the other one is mint
okay, so there
certificates,
could
and I
be
need a
there
whole
could be
bundle.
verifiers. There could be verifiers that are trusted by different credential brokers, and I need
Yeah,
multiple credentials. But what I'm
yeah.
saying is that the path from any one attester to any one credential broker at this time, let's just stick with one verifier, not the multi-verifier GPU blah 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 thingy, right? Not that we can't do it, but I'm saying let's just not let's just take that as, exercise for the student.
Okay, sounds good. So we're not going to mention multiple. We're just going to do
Yeah,
one
we're
credential
gonna
at a
let
time.
the multiple verifier people do their thing, and
How about
whatever
multiple
happens,
rats relying parties, right? But
they'll
but but
blow up.
hear me out. Could it be
Yeah.
that you hand a bundle of tuples? In each tuple, there is a key or credential ID and the some URI of the rats relying party to which you're supposed to hand this.
Fair enough. And you're going to go get multiple things. Okay. And clearly there's some advantage if you can do that with the same attestation results.
Yeah.
Okay. There are possibilities, but I'm saying that that's an optimization. The fact that you can go through the verifier once and use the AR multiple times, great.
hmm
But yeah. But we're not forcing people to do that, so that, if there's different parties you have to get credentials from, because
Right.
I don't know, your example, I think, was the payroll system needs credentials on 2 banks, possibly.
Who knows? I mean, again, we can leave this until Saturday. I doubt
Yeah.
that this is going to become RFC as is, right? So there's going to be another
Yeah.
revision, so we don't need to worry about it. Okay. So, but we still need to the key ID, credential ID still needs to be handled. There needs to be a bootstrapping section, which again you can write and we can. We're not going to
Well,
write it
we're
here,
going to
but
write assumptions about bootstrapping, right?
okay. Okay. So there are
And
details
then
of the
we'll
protocol.
expand that as necessary, right? Okay.
Okay, yeah. So we can say variant summary. How about this? We're going to say um, bootstrapping, and that's going to be our to do. And then we're going to say um, summary, and that's going to be that.
I actually prefer. I know it's logical to think of bootstrapping as having before this,
Mhm.
but I actually would put it afterwards in the document, and the reason for that, and say the bootstrapping is covered late, because I think it's better to explain the end state and then say this is what you need to get there.
Okay, so I
Right?
added it after. I added it after.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so here, so we already talked about that, right? So that's going to be in the bootstrapping section. So I'm just going to leave this comment.
Yeah.
This I just replaced. So this says if, in the protocol variant detail below, the RAS relying party can be one of the following modes, and I just replace it with a simplest statement. The details of each variant above are explained below. Just fewer words. All right. This is the
So I think
same.
we have to have a little bit of conversation about whether this is a background check or whether this is a passport model. And I think that there are cases for each, but that in a particular scenario, you do one or the other, right?
Okay.
So
So
in
how
the
about we can
scenario
say,
I suggested, like the where you're actually just provisioning a TPM almost outside the workload, that I think that one is going to be a passport model. But uh, I don't know which ones might be background check. I don't know the answer to that
so I'm
question.
adding this as a to-do to
Yeah.
basically to each variant below add discussion of applicability to background check versus passport model
Well,
suitability.
I don't think it's the key broker. I don't think it's this variant that is distinction. It's it has to do with the uh I think it has I think it has
Well,
to do
so
TPM
so
versus not versus this. Yeah.
background check and passport model both um, they have to do with how you interact with the RATS relying party. So you can either send your evidence to the verifier, a round trip, and then go to the RATS relying party,
Yep.
or you can go to the RATS relying party with the evidence. And
Yes.
it may be that if you go to the relying party with evidence, all of the below works just fine.
Yeah, so there's two sides to this. One is that you now need to know if you're going to have, if you need any privacy, then you need on the evidence, then you need to know where you're sending it to before you make it. Um,
Which again,
and
part of configuration, right? Part of bootstrapping.
yeah,
That
it's part of bootstrapping, but also it affects the decision as to how that that left to right protocol, what protocol is it? What are we
mhm,
extending?
mhm,
And how is it going to get used? Yeah.
okay. 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 So all of that.
So
There was a
in
mention.
working this draft up, we need a good, we need a use case or two. Um and so far the one that I
Yeah.
know of is this, payroll system that
Hmm.
and I need to understand a little bit more about the real life constraints on, like, tell me a story, right?
Okay, explain.
So like I would like to have a story like um um uh Hank Burkholz is being paid by the um sit and is on the payroll of JP Morgan Bank Beijing, and the money needs to be, but the German authorities uh require that, you know, uh that this workload run in Germany. Ideally, like something actually real, like not made up, right?
But do we need it for V1? Or do you want to save
Yes,
It
that?
is
yes.
better. It
We
is
need
better.
a
Yes.
story. We don't need it to be extensive, but we
Uh-huh.
need a story. If
Okay.
there's only one, fine. And the and I'm saying this with feedback from, you know, BOF that we had last year that did not go well. Um, we need whatever regulations or, you know, requirements that are forcing this. We need them to be not only real but referentiable.
Okay.
Okay, and um, yeah, that's to be able to defend the work against people, some people that don't even believe remote attestation is possible.
Okay, so that's fine. Now let's talk about what exactly does that look like, as far as like where would you put on what text so we can at least put a little draft in.
Uh,
Is
I
it part of
I
bootstrapping?
I would, no, it's not bootstrapping. I would put it this um the details of it can be in an appendix, okay?
Hmm.
But we need to one or two sentences in the introduction that essentially uh goes forward to it, and we can explain the use case larger there. This becomes an introductory slide to the presentation as to motivation. Um, uh, we don't need to. The goal here partly is to avoid debate in the working group as to the details of the requirements, right? By saying, "Go, please go read the appendix." Okay, you want to know why this is this, like this and this and this? Please go read this appendix.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
It's
needs
above
this?
our
Where are the
pay grade.
vendors?
Pardon me?
Also, also, who needs this? Who are the vendors? Who's implementing this? Why should there be interest of to the industry, so to speak? Industry is a very amorphous term, but this is a starter question. So where are the vendors that need this? Why are not in the room? Why is there no discussion about the need on the list or something like that? That is a very common
Yeah,
discussion.
yeah. And since we were not adopted, and we need to motivate that a little bit more. And yeah.
So, but all the discussion that we're basically having, we have all these legacy relying parties. You're
Yeah.
saying that is not sufficient for
No, but you
our
need at least
purposes?
one other. Maybe you have a friend in an alliance of banks. Maybe we have to procure a other supply chain entity that is just big and has the same problem, so to speak. Just to see that this is not just one entity trying to rubber stamp their own solution, but there's a general interoperability requirement here between entities. I think that is why IETF is a little bit careful here, because they try not to be rubber stampers, right?
So, are you
You
saying we need to
understand?
go find other like institutions who need this stuff?
Uh,
That was
ideally,
ideal.
ideally it would be cross institution, but you know, so you're representing an from the ITS point of view, an end customer, right,
Hmm.
as a bank. But reality is you're not actually the end customer, right? The end customer is the owner of the bank accounts. If this is what we're doing is payroll, right? And you're providing a service, but the reality, but because it's cross institution, first of all, you need a solution that works with other institutions, but also you need the other institutions to be able to uh, go to the market and get competitive solutions other than whatever you're running, right? We could all just run the IBM payroll system and it would be fine, right? And that was the answer in 1974. But that's not what people want to do. They want to have, ideally, otherwise it wouldn't come to the IETF. They want to have a number of solutions they can.
The problem there is there's a chicken and egg problem here. There are significant adoption blockers to confidential compute, and I'm talking about them for 4 years now. And as a result, finding customers is hard to come by. Like it was actually kind
I
of
understand what you're saying. Okay, what's driving people to think that CCC is a solution? What is there a regulation, like, specifically? I mean, we had the geographic must be
So
in.
that's another chicken and egg problem, because regulators, and this is why the GRC SIG exists, right? Is because regulated institutions will only, do very little until regulators demand it. So I can tell you there is one instance that it clearly calls for this, and this is what we call high-risk locations. So there are places around the globe where we actively distrust the hosting country, really. And the problem there is we would move our reverse proxies to confidential computing tomorrow, but smart NICs are not available in our data centers just yet. So we cannot do crypto floats, so performance would tank, so we simply can't do it just yet.
Sorry, I missed a step here. There are high-risk locations, and the
So where we basically we would
host
run this stuff in
country
reverse
is
proxies.
not trusted.
Correct.
And you would just put a reverse proxy there and do it the work elsewhere.
We would well, so okay, the actual concrete true problem that we're facing is there is a regulator in the world who basically says on your reverse proxies, on your existing reverse proxies, we want you to run this software we're going to provide. We're going to give you the software to run on your reverse proxies. We're not going to tell you what the software does, but we want remote access to it. So on your reverse proxy, you're running something the local regulator says you must run. You don't know what it is, and you give it remote access to it.
I get that, and
so in that case, I would like my reverse
just to be
proxy
clear,
to
I
run.
want to be sure I understand before you go too much far. So that means that you say reverse proxy. What you're saying is that's the entry point for the end customer. It's in country, and now you're going to punt the data to your data center in.
I'm just saying I will take that reverse
else.
proxy, our Nginx, running in that place that I have no choice but to run. And I would run that Nginx in a trust execution environment. And I would still run their software, outside of the trust execution environment and, hopefully neuter it.
I think you're going to run it in two different containers, but anyway, yeah.
Well, but again, separate trusted execution environments is the key. All right, but again, we cannot, chicken and egg problem is we cannot do this without the smart NICs in our data centers. We don't have that yet. There is not enough market penetration.
You need that just because you need the bandwidth. You just need the TX RX ops that it's capable of. That's a secondary concern.
Right.
And is it that they're just not available in any data center? Or they're not available in the regulated data centers?
It has nothing to do with regulator. It has to do with market availability. And
I understand that, but I'm saying that if it was in San Francisco, you might have access, but you're saying that's not the case
Uh,
either.
I don't think like so. It has to do with things like hardware refresh cycles and just
Yeah.
general market availability. Um,
Okay.
Because by the way, T-Disp, I think just came off the drawing board. I don't even know, like hyperscalers, I hope have them, but I don't know. And the software stack for multi-attester and for, right, the verifiers capable of attesting multi-attesters, they're just like all of that is just coming up, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's right. That's true. It's not mature at all. I expect 2 generations of mostly proprietary what's the right word? Bilateral agreements,
yeah,
right? Like you'll be able to do an NVIDIA with an Intel CPU, but not a ATI with an AMD, or not an
yeah,
ATI with an Intel CPU. But
right.
that would happen later. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but you see my point here. That's the difficulty I'm facing here. But the point is, yeah, this is a little bit ahead of its time, and it's hard to find other customers because of all these chicken and egg problems. Not that the problem doesn't exist. It's just, it's not immediately available for deployment.
Yeah, but the strategic partner might be an option. So if you can't be low with this, I mean, but yeah, it has to be a viable prospect if we bring someone on board here with this plan.
Well, I mean, it says it says viable as how do I say
Yeah,
it?
okay. My glass orb is also cloudy. I agree, but yeah, okay. Let me maybe I can find someone.
So,
Okay,
but forget about that problem that you're not deploying because you're not putting your reverse proxy. You're not deploying them right now the way you'd like because of lack of hardware.
right.
So, what do you do?
We accept the risk, as in we bide our time until such time that we
So,
can.
so you
Yeah.
do deploy a reverse proxy, just
We have no
not.
choice. We have no
But
choice. We run
yeah,
malware
with
on our
their
reverse proxies.
potential malware, but
Yeah.
you don't get the hardware acceleration.
Well, I mean, if we were to go do that, then we would do that. Because performance would tank so badly, and it's a large country, we're unable to do it just yet. But we would like to.
Sorry, right now you just don't deploy at all.
Correct.
Okay, because the hardware is unavailable. When the
Right. Hardware and
acceleration
associated
hardware becomes
software stack
available,
and all of this that needs to come together. Yes, unfortunately.
I assume this is like TLS. Um, and what? That's true.
Yeah. I mean, you can imagine like just any Nginx reverse proxy that terminates TLS, whatever. Like it basically carries all the traffic to and from, uh, you know, that place. But okay, let's
But
see.
this I want to cycle back to. Um, I I I really need. So is this the use case? Because I'm not sure this is the use case at this point. Um, and
Well, it's a kind of it's a theoretical use case. The only thing that makes it theoretical is that we don't actually have we cannot deploy it with the performance we would require, and we just don't have
all right, so let's ignore the performance, and let's just say
okay.
it's there and write it down. And
Yeah, so basically
I'm
then,
trying to understand though if this is a um this is a Mark JP requirement, or is there also external like regulatory or
regulatory
multi-jurisdictional regulatory things
regulatory does
pushing
not
you this?
yet so there are no regulations calling for confidential computing specifically just yet. Again, because that's a chicken neck problem, you need to be in broad deployment or broadly
I'm
deployable
not. I
before they
forget
ask.
about attestation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
what is the attester payload? What is it workload? What is the RUP doing? Like that's what
Um,
I want to know, right? So we talked about the payroll
okay,
example, but
so the
I need a real
attester
example.
Got it. So the attester is an outside of that jurisdiction piece of software that wants to connect to that reverse proxy from the outside. The credential is the certificate of the reverse proxy. The reverse proxy in that scenario runs in a trusted execution environment, performs remote attestation, and obtains a TLS terminating certificate if it passes attestation. That's the scenario.
Okay.
So in order to terminate TLS, you need a certificate. That certificate is something the reverse proxy has, and right?
Yeah, you're being very abstract, and I really want you to be really concrete, right?
Okay, so you have Nginx reverse proxy. It terminates TLS.
Yeah, you're still being that's
How
technical.
is
I don't
that?
want to know
How is that not
technical. I want to know what problem does this solve for anybody?
the
What is
problem it
this thing
solves? The
doing?
problem it solves is if we're concerned that the reverse proxy is in an untrusted location and may have malware running on it. Let's not, expose any regulators here because ultimately, who cares why? So there is a reverse proxy in an untrusted location. It needs to run in that untrusted location, and it terminates TLS or performs
From
any
the
other
world.
web application firewall function, and it runs in untrusted location. So because of that, it needs to run inside a trusted execution environment to shield itself against that malware. And it obtains its certificates or whatever credentials it needs based on remote attestation.
Look, you've gone way beyond. Please go back. I don't know how to say this. Why does anyone run any of this software? What does it do?
Web application firewall.
No, that's a firewall. What if I turn the system off and I don't have a web application firewall because I took the power cord out? What is no longer possible? What
It's
does
not
this do for the
possible to.
world?
It's not possible for the outside world to communicate to anything behind that reverse proxy.
I don't need to because I turned it off. I turned it all off. I unplugged. I went downtown Manhattan. I went into the basement of JP Morgan building and I
Okay,
unplugged it.
so
Okay.
you
So there's
just created
no more
you
commerce,
just
right?
created an outage. Yeah, correct.
Right.
That's the
No, you
problem.
missed my point. Who notices the outage? What is this thing doing for anybody? Like the example was it's payroll. It's transferring money from company A
Right. Okay.
to
So
employee B in other
any of those
country.
functions, any of those functions.
Can we describe one of them? That's what I'm trying to get at, right?
Sure. Data transfer in and out of a region.
You're still being too abstract. I want to know
I mean,
why.
uh, loan
Explain it. I
origination.
need to be able to explain this to
Like,
my mother, right? What am I doing? Oh, I'm making sure that people in Germany can get paid by
okay, fair enough.
Soviet by Chinese companies. I don't
Yeah,
know,
many.
whatever.
So how about money transfers in and out of a country?
Yes, money transfers across national
Across
borders.
national borders, sure.
Okay. Why is that? We have Swift. We have what's the other one? Why is so like is it are we implementing Swift? Is that what's happening? Or are we like I'm sorry to be so specific, but like
Yeah, but this is a good line of question. Why is Swift not good enough right
yeah,
now?
why is Swift not good enough?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I can talk to my colleague who is in charge of securing this, and I can ask him what concrete applications are, what kind of data traverses this particular boundary, and I can give you like a menu of choices to add to the document.
Hmm.
And I can do that, in the next few hours. I'll just email you.
Sounds good.
Will that work?
And the better the name, the more speaking the name application name, sorry, the better. So if there's a colloquial meaning to the story, it really is digestible, and the problem becomes clear as if you would describe PGP to your grandma. This is a standard example. So yeah, it doesn't have to be that dumbed down, so you don't have to explain it to a 12-year-old, but at least it has to be digestible by every regulator that is not tech affine.
Yeah.
So another way to say why this is important is that the people in the room, the technical people in the room that understand what an Nginx reverse proxy is, they have to go back to their manager's manager and explain to them why their company needs to be involved in this. And that C-suite person that it gets up to will need to hear a concrete thing that the CFO can explain to his mother, right? Who's the chairman of the
Yeah, and again,
board, right?
I will give you, number of use cases. And we can go back and forth if you still find it insufficient, because I'm happy to work with you on that.
Okay. But I'm not sure okay. So we just need something that when someone says who needs this, why is this happening, that we can really point to something really rare. We learned this, we tried to get this happen for the network attested NASR, and not all of the pointers were real, right? And this caused the BOF to fail.
Okay.
Okay. The lack of, no, it's this regulation here. And someone was like wavy, like, oh, the CRA requires this. Okay, which section? Well, they didn't know. And it was very clear months before, you need to know word, letter, and verse. Okay. And nobody did, right? It's like, oh, well, I think Joe knows. Well, Joe says, I thought you knew. Well, okay, that doesn't lead to anywhere, right?
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, I'll give you the best shot at letter and verse.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So I think we're coming to the end of the hour.
Yep.
I don't think there is anything else here. INA considerations, I don't know. Maybe not yet. Threat model, we have in our other document, the threat model. I don't know if you care to review it, if it needs to go into security considerations.
So the threat model comes out of the discussion we just had, right? Like, so in this case, the threat model is actually, we have to be secure against some amount of nation state attack.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe not the full power of it, but their regulator, right?
Right.
Or at least we need to containerize that literally that thing. Right. What is the stupid American equivalent to Swift? I can't seem to remember those letters.
No, I don't ask me. Not my world.
Okay.
All right. So again, next Tuesday, I cannot promise that I'll join. I'll do my best. I'll be basically going to Utah National Park, so who knows what wireless looks like there.
Oh, well, don't join it. You're going into camping with your family or whatever.
I'm basically I'm going.
Don't come with us. Yeah, no,
diving into the wilderness. Okay, but I will be on email here and there. We need to get it over the line. Going back, just so Hank hears that the chairs did not respond to my email asking for a 10-minute slot. Let's do this sooner rather than later, so we're not locked out of the presentation. And Michael said he would do that. And other than that, I'll see you on email, and I'll see you in Vienna in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever.
Just one quick question. Did you send an email? I'm not remember. Directly to the chairs or on the list?
Directly to the chairs email list, Rats chairs or whatever it is.
Okay, yeah. So it is. I don't know. The chairs are weird. So there's some latency there. Maybe repeating that on the list is fine, and maybe take that into consideration before you leave.
Well, again,
I will just repeat. I will repeat the request just to them.
Yeah. Okay. Or you repeat the request. Maybe that is even better. Thank you. Just so that it's transparent, and they can't make an agenda suddenly, and red chairs, I don't know what's happening right now, but it's a little bit complicated, it seems.
What is the title of this? This is the What are we talking? What are we talking? It was TWI, but what was it? What does that stand for again?
Trustworthy workload identity.
Trustworthy.
By the way, you know, we have a requirements document and we have our charter
Yeah.
and we have all the definitions. All of that is in GitHub. If you have trouble finding it, let me know. I'll email you all the links.
And the title for the ongoing item with the rats unaware parties, that is introducing that.
Rats unaware relying parties. Yeah.
Okay, that should be the title. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry, what should the title be?
Rats unaware relying parties.
Simple, well scoped, understandable. I'm okay.
All right, then. Thank you both so much. I will talk to you soon. Again, I'm on email all the time. Any questions, anything at all, need a review, let me know. And I'll get you those scenarios.
Awesome.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.